All right, good evening. This is the Public Safety Committee. I am Councilman Yolanda McCoy. It is Wednesday, September 18th. Pardon me for the late start. It is 6:30 p.m. This is a little unusual. I thank all those who have been able to attend. At this time, I will call the roll for the members of the committee first. Councilwoman Oliver. Count, I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything. Is she on? Okay. Councilwoman Darby.
Present.
Councilman Johnson. Councilman Spadola. Councilman Mills.
Present.
Council President Congo.
Here.
All right. And if there are any other council members on the call, please introduce yourself. No one else? Okay. Thank you. All right. So we actually have a pretty nice agenda today, this evening. We would like to start with the ordinances. We actually have two ordinances we'd like to take a look at. The very first ordinance is going to be Ordinance 24-041, an ordinance to amend Chapter 4 of the City Code implementing stricter security and safety standards for firearms retail stores. The sponsor is Councilman Darby. Councilman Darby,
Yes.
please introduce it.
Yes, thank you. So this ordinance amends the city's building code in order to require more enhanced safety and security measures for building use in whole and in part for the sale of firearms. So just to give a little bit of background and some context to this, so this is a perfect example of intergovernmental and different levels and branches of governments working together. So Newcastle County reached out as they were actually passing the same exact legislation or ordinances in their county in regards to gun control throughout the county. One of the things that the county was afraid of is that by having stricter gun laws in their county, that it would then trickle down and make it a negative effect on the city of Wilmington in regards to gun stores here or people trying to open up gun stores in the city of Wilmington by having tougher laws within the county. So I know we have a representative here who can speak more to the legislation to answer any questions. So I don't know if how you want to do it, Councilmember McCoy, Chair.
All right, thank you. If you're completed, ma'am, would you mind coming up and actually introducing yourself? Thank you.
Do I sit here or come to the podium?
Whichever you're most comfortable. Also, I would like to acknowledge Councilwoman Oliver and Councilman Johnson are on the Zoom, the virtual.
Good evening. My name is Charani Pettibanda, General Manager of the Newcastle County Department of Land Use. Councilman Darby, thank you for the invitation. And yes, as you stated, the County Council recently adopted unanimously 3 ordinances related to gun safety. All of these are only applicable in unincorporated Newcastle County areas, so we do believe that collaborating with our municipal partners is the right thing to do so that, as Councilwoman Darby correctly stated, that gun stores don't decide to go to the municipalities instead of the county because the rules are a little bit more strict in the county. So we think that having parity across the municipalities will help continue to evenly spread, any new gun stores that may come. We certainly don't want to have an unintended consequence of having gun stores concentrated in any one area. So just to explain this particular ordinance 24041, what the county's corollary to that was passed just a couple of months ago. Our ordinance number was Ordinance 24084. The basic framework for that ordinance is that gun stores that are applying for permits in Newcastle County will have to show and prove up enhanced security systems for the gun store business itself. So this would include video surveillance, alarm systems, and it would allow our permit technicians the ability to require physical bollards along the entrances of the stores to prevent a theft, similar to actually to what happened at the Miller Gun Store in Newcastle. If you followed that on Memorial Day weekend, there was a section of the store that did not have physical bollards in front of it, and a truck actually, was able to breach the door by backing into it, and then several guns were stolen due to that robbery. So the idea is to the county's goals of preventing gun theft align with the gun store owners' goals, because that is their inventory. They don't want their inventory to be stolen either. So this is not viewed as punitive against gun store owners, but simply kind of common sense laws that are codified in the building code. Typically, we see in Newcastle County that most gun stores already do this, but requiring it in the code just takes another step to make sure that the inventory is safely kept. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the law in particular.
Okay. All right, thank you, Charney. Actually, I had asked 3 basic questions, and you did give me some of that insight. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to make certain that everyone who was actually who's on the committee got those same questions. The question that, the initial question was how much time is allotted for owners to comply, but you made me aware that this is not retroactive. This is not, punitive against people who already have the stores. Hopefully that they will secure their stores better, but this is for anyone trying to come into the city of Wilmington to open.
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair. Our law is not intended to be retroactive. We do feel that retroactively applying land use laws can be problematic for property owners and small businesses. So this is a policy that would apply to new gun stores that are opening, or gun stores that are going through a major renovation and need to pull major fit-out type permits. Probably not HVAC permits and small alterations like that, but if they're doing a redesign or making an addition or something like that, then we'd be able to bring them into compliance if they're not already with these rules.
Okay, thank you. And the last question was something I think you'll probably be able to get back to me about, which was how many gun stores that we actually have in Wilmington proper? Because I only knew one right off the top of my head, but I think that'd be great to have that number. And if you wouldn't mind getting back to us, that'd be great.
Yes, Madam Chair, we can, I will work with our data department, our GIS department, to see if we can track the FFLs within the city limits. And you probably want to know what's right around the border as well. So
Yes.
we can get you that information.
Okay, thank you. Does any of the other, okay, I do see that Councilwoman Oliver, she has her hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to say I did some research. I just know of 2 gun stores for the research in the city of Wilmington. So I just wanted to make that clear. But, she can still send it over, but it's currently just 2.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that has a question? Any other council members? Okay. All right, Councilman Darby, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, nothing at all.
All right. So if there's no other questions from council members. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions? Hello, public. All right. Well, seeing that there are none, it looks as though this will be on our, do we have a date for this? Okay, so we need to, right, so we're going to go ahead, and this is an ordinance, so we will need to vote this out of committee. If I can get, if someone can move this out of committee. Is there a motion
Out
to
of
move it?
committee. Motion, move it out committee.
Okay,
Second.
all right. So it has been moved and seconded out of committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right. So ordinance 24-041 will be coming to the full floor for a vote on October 3rd. I thank you so much. And we do have a second. It will be, so we do have another ordinance. It is going to be ordinance 24-042, which is an ordinance to amend chapter 36 of the city code to prohibit firearms, components of firearms, ammunition, or explosives from city buildings and police stations. Councilman Darby is the sponsor for this as well.
Yeah, this ordinance prohibits possessing firearms, components of firearms, ammunition, or explosive in city buildings or police stations. It's just a cleanup legislation, really, to already match some things that's already on the book. So I know I'm going to have Newcastle County talk about it a little bit more, if that's okay with you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Johnny, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Councilwoman Darby. Yes, this is legislation that the county also passed. We do have the ability under Title IX. The City of Wilmington also has the ability under Title 22 of the Delaware Code. Municipalities and counties are allowed to adopt ordinances regulating the possession of firearms in, essentially in Newcastle County in county buildings, for city in city buildings. I did bring an example. This is the sign that we have posted in all Newcastle County facilities, including our libraries and our government center and our community services department and public works. If you'd like a copy, I'm happy to leave it here. And it's a pretty straightforward ordinance, as Councilman Darby stated, and it also passed unanimously by our county council back in June.
Okay. All right, thank you. Council members, I see Councilwoman Xanthia Oliver has her hand up.
Yes, I had a question. When she said in city buildings and police stations, I was wondering, when you say police stations, I thought they would have ammunition. So I was a little confused. Could you explain that about the police station?
Yes, Councilwoman Vice Chair Oliver, sorry. So the regulation that the state has in Delaware Code allows for municipalities to regulate the possession of firearms, ammunition, or explosives, meaning people carrying those things into public facilities like a police station. There are several exceptions. One of which is if someone is turning in their weapon to the police because they no longer want it or something, that is obviously allowed, and they wouldn't be cited for that because that is something that we're encouraging. So there are several exceptions to that rule, including the police's own firearms and ammunition that they need for whatever police station they may be in.
Okay, no, that's fine. I was thinking of someone turning in their weapon. Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
All right, thank you, Councilman Oliver. Councilman Johnson.
Yes, I just want to say I'm glad to see this ordinance on. This is something actually many years ago, probably over 8 years ago, when I was actually working in the law department, we had looked at this issue, but the county had not taken it up. So I am glad to see now the county is on board with this. And obviously gun reform has gone light years, I think, in the past decade. So I appreciate this finally moving forward. And again, making sure that our buildings stay safe. So I would like to be added as a co-sponsor on this piece.
Kindred. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Councilman Johnson. Has any other council members have questions? Okay. Well, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Honestly, I was very surprised about this ordinance because I thought this is something that we already did, personally. So, I too would like to be, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor as well. So, Councilman Darby, if you'd like to wrap it up.
No, just thank you for coming to, further explain. Thank you to Newcastle County. And when we talk about governmental relationships, that's what it should look like, and that's what we should strive for. But thank you, guys.
Okay.
And I thank you for the invitation to come.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for coming out, Ms. Sharney. We really appreciate it, and thank you for having those questions answered for me.
Thank you.
All right, so this is another ordinance that needs to be voted from committee. If I can please have someone, I need to have this ordinance moved.
I move a motion. Moving up.
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded, and for, I'm sorry, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So we will have this on the full floor on October 3rd. I appreciate you coming out for this ordinance, Councilman Darby. Did you need to be excused? Yes. Okay. All right. So we do still have resolutions that we needed to tend to. All right. Chief.
Chairwoman, may I be excused as well?
You may be excused. Thank you for attending.
you.
Okay. All right, so we are going to be starting with a resolution regarding Wilmington Police Department commencing on an academy class. All right, Chief, could you please speak to that resolution?
Yes, good afternoon or good evening, Madam
evening.
Chair, council members. Got to get my time straight here. Thank you for having us this evening. This resolution is to notify City Council that we're preparing to commence the hiring process for our next Police Academy class. With retirements and attrition, we have now surpassed the threshold to start the next hiring process. As you are aware, our authorized strength is 305 officers. Our actual strength at the moment is 279, which puts us under the 95 percentile for our authorized strength of 305. We have worked with the mayor's office, our human resource department, as well as council staff to prepare these positions. At the current moment, we anticipate the deadline to be October 11th
Okay.
of 2024. And we continue to work with our Human Resource Division to do some recruitment. I believe Dr. Karras sent out a recruitment agenda that we did for our third quarter. So that is that resolution. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I do want to be clear, you said 279 out of 305. Wow. We definitely need the manpower.
Yes.
Also, one of the things that I guess not this past academy, the one previous to that, there was also the issue of residency. Is that still an issue?
At the current moment, no, it is not.
Okay. We just wanted to make certain that it was clear. Okay. All right. So because that is a resolution, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to make certain it was, did anyone have any questions on council? Okay. All right. And there's no one in the public that has any questions?
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
Um,
Councilman Oliver.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, when is this class going to take place?
We anticipate beginning the class in early February of 2025.
Madam Chair, my follow-up.
Yes, you may.
Chief, what are y'all doing to do some recruitment of more black officers?
Yes, we continue to attend community events to spread the message at each civic association throughout the city. We continue to attend historically black universities and colleges. We continue to attend faith-based organizations throughout the city to spread the message. We just currently put a billboard up on 95 as you're coming into the city to, obviously gain a larger audience as people are coming in. Yeah, we continue to spread that message that, we're hiring. And as you know, the last class, I believe, that we graduated was, I believe, somewhere in the 90 percentile of minority. And this one that we have currently in place of 6 officers, unfortunately, it's only 6. It's 83% minority. So we continue to attract and hire diverse academy classes, and we will continue to do so as we move forward.
All right.
May I follow up?
Yes, you may, Councilwoman.
I'm just wondering, how old, I know the age, but for the public, how old do they have to be a police officer?
21 years old.
Just wondering, maybe just a suggestion to maybe we could work on it, to go speak to the youth at the warehouse, the youth at the PAL Center, just to let them know, the ones that's 18, that they could be, when they turn 21, or just to let them know when they turn 21 that this occupation is available. Because to my understanding, maybe they haven't been, they haven't been tapped into. And like you said, when they have the HBC and it's coming up, maybe we need to have some recruiters there. And the reason why I mention this is because during the election, several people came up to me and were saying, Ms. Alva, on this east side, we don't see even no black officers. This is ridiculous. So they were really upset about that. And I'm like, so I had to hear all that on election day. Well, I'm not voting for you because I don't see anybody over here that looks like me. These guys are staying around, et cetera, et cetera. So I would like to push some more recruitment. I'm okay with minority officers, but some people want to see individuals who look like themselves, because I had at least 8 people say that to me at Bancroft. So I just wanted to, make you aware of, and I know it's hard to recruit officers, but for them to, 8 different people, for them to come up to me and say that, it was like a slap in the face for me. So I want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Oliver.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have a question? Because I did have one as well. Okay. All right. So you actually stated that the ages to begin is 21. Is there a cutoff?
Yes, at the current moment, the cutoff is 37.
37?
Yes, and we're working with city HR. As you know, we're having a difficult time recruiting people to the profession, and we're trying to remove all obstacles. And the age of 37 was something that we didn't have up until about maybe 2 academy classes ago. You could be at any age. We've had, as you know, I ran the process for 6 or 7 years, and I've had people who were in their late 50s, some even in their early 60s, who showed an interest and actually came out. There were some things that obviously that they didn't pass, but I would hate to prohibit people from applying to our police department or any police department at this point because of age.
Okay. And the other thing I did wanted to make certain that I mentioned is the pay. Is it more competitive?
It is more competitive, but as I mentioned, the recruitment is not just difficult for the City of Wilmington Police Department. It's a national issue, a national problem that's going across the country. And no sooner than we raise our pay, our partners in the local area raise theirs. So it's a continuous battle to not only attract applicants, but also retain them. And we're losing some officers to other departments throughout the state as well.
That was going to be my next question about retention. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's like the gas stations across the street from each other.
Yes.
Always going down a penny each time. All right. So if there are no other questions, and there's no one in the public, this is a resolution that we will be bringing this to the full floor on October 3rd. I wish you luck. We definitely need it. All right, we have another. I'm sorry. All right, so the next resolution is a resolution approving the police department's grant application to the State of Delaware Emergency Illegal Drug Enforcement Program to support drug investigations.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a grant offer by the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security through its Emergency Illegal Drug Enforcement Program. We're invited to apply for these funds every year, and we're currently eligible for $33,706.08 in grant funding. These funds will help cover overtime costs for drug investigations and anti-violence initiatives undertaken by our Drug Organized Crime and Vice Division to include investigations that result from resident complaints at community meetings and tips that we receive. And this grant does not require any local matching funds.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone have any questions for the chief regarding this grant? Okay, Councilman Oliver.
Yes, no, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. I think this is a good piece of legislation. Anytime we can find funding for officers to do overtime, as we really need it. I know I really need it in the 3rd District, especially in the Northeast area with all, the recent shootings over there, and on the East Side. So I'm just glad to see that y'all finding other ways to find funding for overtime. Thank you. So I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Councilman Oliver, and I do agree. Does anyone else had any questions or any comments for Chief? Okay. All right. So being that this is another resolution, we do not need to vote it out of the committee. I'm sorry.
Madam
Okay.
Chair.
All right. President Congo, please.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that we remember to ask the public if they have any, if there's anyone from the public.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone
you.
in the public? All right. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at our virtual because we don't have anyone in here at the moment. All right. So thank you for reminding me. All right.
Thank you.
Councilman Mills.
Yes, Madam Chair. Could I be added a co-sponsor, please?
It has been noted. Thank you very much, Councilman Mills.
Thank you. And keep up the great work, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
So again, because this is a resolution that will not need to be voted out of the committee, it will go before the full council on October 3rd. All right. So we do have another resolution. This is a resolution approving the police department's grant application to the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security Fund to combat violent crime to support violent crime reduction efforts.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a grant offer by the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Fund to Combat Violent Crime. We are eligible to apply for funding each year and are currently eligible for $402,901.40 in grant funding for violent crime reduction efforts. These funds are eligible to cover the cost of overtime for police officers to engage in violence reduction initiatives. This most frequently involves additional proactive, high visibility patrols in areas affected by violence, supplementing our patrol units. And there are no matching funds required for this.
Okay. All right, thank you. Councilman Oliver. Did you have a question?
Yes, Madam Chair. I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor. I also like to repeat the same thing. Anytime you can find money funding to combat crime, it's okay with me. But there again, I hope some of this overtime will be used to identify or assist with reduction of crime in the Northeast area. As I stated, it's been I've had several calls from over there with the recent shootings that have increased over there. I've been asking for the floodlights for the longest on Carter Street, on Lamont Street, and it seems like I can't get the floodlights over there. And that is a heavy area where I'm receiving a lot of complaints. And I just hope that some of this overtime is being utilized over there in that area. And, we'll talk about it next week, but hopefully, some of this overtime is being used in high crime area, and that is one of them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Oliver. Are any other council members have anything to add or a question? All right, and there's no one in the public who has anything to add or comment? All right, so actually I did have one question for you, Chief. Because you say that this is basically, you apply for this fund annually, is it used in its entirety every year?
Yes,
Okay, just want to make certain that we're.
we utilize it, every
Okay.
penny of it.
All right, good to hear, good to hear. All right, so as I stated, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, Councilman Oliver. you have-
Sure, one more question. Could the chief give me an example of violent crime reduction efforts? For an example, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we meet with our captains and our executive staff to identify areas as they're moving throughout the city where we're having issues such as shots fired, shootings, robberies, wherever it may be, and we deploy. With this fund, we're able to deploy up to 6, sometimes 8 additional officers during our high time for crime that we identified through our evidence-based reports and tips that we receive from the public. So, for example, on an evening such as today, we may identify areas throughout the city to deploy these officers with a supervisor to do directed patrols, and be in those areas where we are seeing an increase in crime.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear you say patrol. Once again, in the Northeast area, the issues that I'm hearing is that they are not patrolling. They are sitting in the cars. They are not getting out, engaging with the community. Over to Thomas Edison, on election day, I had a lady come up to me and says, Anthony, I'm not voting for you. I like you, but the cops are doing nothing in this area. And once again, that's Carter Street, Lamont Street, and Black Store on 23rd Street. It's only the 2 or 3 areas. And, I am getting a little frustrated myself because I ride past there a lot. I'm constantly riding over there. I have relatives. My sister lives right on Jessup Street, and I'm riding past there on Pine Street. And them guys, it's the same store. It's the same people. The store got closed down. We opened it back up. The officers are looking directly up the street, but they're sitting in the cars, and it's not fair to the residents and the taxpayers over there, which I'm just asking you, and I'm gonna talk to you more about it Tuesday, ask the officers to get out the car and engage. I mean, it's like 10 guys the other day just standing out there. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I just think it's sad that they just won't get out the car. I don't get it, but I just think they need some more training with community engagement and walking and talking to the people who live on the block. It's like only five homeowners over there. And the one guy, I'm not calling his name, he's been there for over 40 years, and he said he hasn't even met one officer, but he calls the cops all the time, and the officers haven't even knocked on his door. And he's left his name. It's sickening over there. I don't know what y'all doing over there, but it's sad. That's all I have to say.
Understood, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you, Councilman Oliver. All right, did anyone else have a comment or questions? And none from the public? Okay. So as stated, this is a resolution. It will come to the full floor on October 3rd. We'll get a chance to vote on it then. Okay, so we do have another resolution that we'll hear from the chief. It is a resolution approving the police department's grant application to the state of Delaware State Aid to Local Law Enforcement Program to provide advanced and specialized training to officers.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a grant offered by the State of Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security, state aid to local law enforcement. We are eligible to apply for funding each year and currently eligible for $61,839.12 in grant funding. These funds will allow us to provide advanced and specialized training for officers throughout the department, to include patrol officers, investigators, and members of our specialized units. And there are no matching funds required.
Okay. All right, Councilwoman Oliver, you had a question?
Now, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, and this is for training officers. So hopefully, whoever's doing the training will train some of these officers to get out the cars, because they're not getting out the cars. So hopefully that's part of the training. I like the officers. I support police. I don't want to call boo-boo when I have an emergency. I want to call the police. But I think hopefully some of this funding is being used to train the officers properly. To me, they're just comfortable sitting in the cars. And once again, I think it's sad that they're sitting in our communities, sitting in the cars. When I'm over Trolley Square, I see cops walking around. When I come in my community, majority minorities, I don't see anybody talking to the people. I have a young lady, I'm gonna call her name Christine, who's a block up on 9th Street. She cursed me out. She's up there every day. Now the guys, they're just out there doing dope, homeless people, doing everything. And the 4 officers are just standing on the corner. I have a picture of it. I'll show you Tuesday. I'm really getting frustrated. And I talked to Tanny about it. I just think it's ridiculous that I have a picture of 4 officers and you have 8 guys out there literally getting high. Yolanda, we took a ride the other day. You saw it for yourself in my district, right or wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm getting sick of it because I feel for homeless people. I feel for people who do drugs. I've been around it, seen it. But what about the taxpayers that's asking me to have an emergency meeting over Stubbs School, and they are calling me and really getting real irate with me? And I'm not blaming you, because I support the police officers, but something has got to be done about about these officers. They have got to engage with these people, tell them to move, tell them to, if somebody needs some help. Maybe we could call Aaron Moore. He picks up people, take people to a program. But it's looking like Kensington over here. Everybody's talking about it, and my emails and my phone is being flooded. And hopefully we can talk about this some more Tuesday, but I am really getting frustrated. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Councilwoman Oliver. So if anyone, other council persons, Councilman Mills, if you had anything to add? All right, and the public? No one from the public? Okay. All right, so I actually had something I wanted to ask. When it comes to the training, wanted to find out whether or not, so as I spoke to David about the training funds, I do realize that sometimes there may not be, you may not use all of the training. Wanted to know whether or not you can make us aware of the trainings that you look forward to putting officers through, and if council is capable of suggesting some of the trainings we would like to see happen.
Yes, ma'am. I'll defer to Major Bowers. He's the major over our training division as well.
Okay. Thank you, Major Bowers.
Yes, good evening. We do have training mostly supplied by the Delaware State Police, the academy down there, which comes, interviews, techniques, patrol techniques, all range of different training that we could send people down to do. Supervisor training, anything like that. We send people K-9 training, So things like that, we definitely send people down there.
Okay. So, if there's a list or something that can be provided, and if council is capable of making you aware of the ones we would like to see some of our officers use
Absolutely.
or receive.
Yes.
Yep, we'll work
Okay.
with you. If you have any recommendations that, you feel that will benefit the police departments or even our civilians as well, all ears.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman Oliver, you had your hand up again.
Yes, Council Chair, I remember you and I spoke last week, or do we still plan on maybe asking them to come in to tell us about training, or you're just going to let them send it to us in writing, as you just stated?
No, I did want to. I actually was going to ask about a presentation.
Okay, thank
Still,
you.
but that will be for next month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to make you aware that this is also a resolution that does not need to be voted out of committee. It will be on the full floor on October 3rd. And our last resolution is a resolution approving the police department's grant application to the state of Delaware Special Law Enforcement Assistance Fund to purchase new equipment and support training for officers.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. This is a grant offered by the State of Delaware Special Law Enforcement Assistance Fund. We are eligible to apply for funding each year and currently eligible for $91,312 in grant funding. We have applied for grant funding for several projects, one of which is $49,448, which would allow us for the purchase of a fireworks and ammunition disposal trailer. The piece of equipment would allow for the safe storage and disposal of seized items that are approved for destruction. As you know, every 4th of July and every New Year's Eve, we confiscate a large amount of fireworks. And we currently, store them in the staff garage at the police department, which is not really ideal to store them, obviously, for obvious reasons. And this would allow us to store these items temporarily in the locker until we can get them down to be destructed.
Okay. All right. So that was the one. That's the largest amount?
Yes, and then the next one is $25,332 that will support training for the WPD Special Operations Division / Traffic Unit and the Forensic Service Unit to attend a FARO training course, which pertains to the hardware and software that traffic unit investigators use to investigate and reconstruct major crimes and crash scenes. And basically, we already have the apparatus. It's a piece of equipment that you can put at the center of a crime scene or at the center of a major traffic fatality or traffic scene. And this apparatus can take pictures, it can take video, it can take measurements, all without having to pretty much do anything but turn it on. As you know, before we were doing everything, sketches, measurements, all by hand with a little ruler, and then we would have to do a sketch by hand, and it just takes a tremendous amount of labor hours. This would allow for officers to quickly and accurately do the FARO without having to spend an enormous amount of time at each crime scene, which, or even traffic scenes, which frees up the intersections a lot faster for the public, where we're not closing down streets for hours and hours because we have a fatality, and now we have to, take measurements and do everything else that we have to do to make sure we have a prosecutable case. So what we're planning on doing is, since we already have the equipment, is to train our investigators. FARO representatives are coming to our police department, so it's not going to incur any travel costs or anything on the part of our officers, because the company's coming to the police station to do the training.
Wait, I'm sorry. You mean to tell me we bought equipment and do not have used it yet?
No, we've used
Okay.
it. We use it. This is just going to allow them to expand, like with any technology, just like our phones. There's so much technology on our phones that we probably don't use 10% of it.
Okay.
And this is the same thing with FARO. It just allows the officers to have how to use the software to its fullest capabilities, as opposed to the simple areas that they're using now.
Okay. All right. Come on, Councilman Oliver, let me let him finish, and then I'll get back to your question. And then the last thing was on here, it looks like.
Yes, it's $16,532 that would allow for the purchase of 17 new motorcycle helmets for our members of the motorcycle unit. The current equipment used by the unit has reached the end of its life cycle, which is 3 years. And it is recommended that the helmets are replaced every 3 years for safety reasons. And again, for all these grants, there are no matching funds required.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilwoman Oliver, your question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd just like to be added as a co-sponsor on both of them. And I'd like to say hi to the chief and Bowers. I didn't hear them say their names, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Mills.
Yes. Quick question for you, Chief. How many officers currently use the Faro equipment?
I believe it's, we have 4 officers in our traffic division, and some of our investigators in our forensic unit have the capability to use it. This would allow us to expand that to additional officers.
Okay, perfect. How many officers are we thinking will be in the training?
There'll be 6 officers from our police department, additional, and there'll be another 6 additional officers from our partners throughout the state. Part of the getting the funds, we have to open it up to other departments that are using the Faro equipment as well.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
I'm not allowed to be stingy and say no. I'm like, why are we training people to leave us?
Well, these are officers who are sworn at other departments.
Okay.
So, for instance, say someone's like Newport or Ellesmere or Newcastle County that is using Faro and need the training, they'll be able to come to our police station when they bring the trainers to sitting in the class.
Okay. All right. You still had your hand up, Councilman.
Yes, Madam Chair. I want to be added as a sponsor as well, please.
It has been noted. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. So this seems to be the very last resolution, and it will come before a full council on October 3rd. I'm trying to think if there's anything I needed to ask about this. No, I already know about your gadgets. So actually, I was really surprised that where you were actually storing, fireworks are very dangerous. So I'm glad that you're actually putting them in a place to keep them safe until you're able to be destroyed or whatever. All right, so with that being stated, if no one has anything else to ask, okay, Councilman Mills. Councilman Mills, your hand was up.
I just lowered it. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Councilwoman Oliver.
Yes, I wanted to tell the chief and Val that I really appreciate the work they do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we'll get those lights out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Please help me over there. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Councilman Oliver. I've actually gotten a chance to go and take a look at the area, and I do understand. Even though I'm going through some of the same issues as well, I'm very pleased with my engagement unit when it comes to how they're actually talking to the residents within the city. Within the my district. So I'm hoping that she'll be able to get that same type of response.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So with that being stated, I would like to. Okay, I'm sorry. If there's no members of the public that has anything to state. Okay. All right. So we're going to, I'm asking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for meeting with us at this very late hour. You have a great evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.